Hi everyone, it's Sheree here. Today I'm going to be creating a new spread to put inside my Felicity Jane Note to Self binder. I will be using the new Elizabeth kit for this spread, but I just wanted to quickly show you inside the binder and a couple of things that you can get to use in your binder. I use the black and white striped Note to Self binder here, which I absolutely love. They are available in white, white scalloped, has a nice scalloped edge down the side here, and a blush scallop as well. I do have the pretty bow that was available a while ago. I'm afraid these are sold out at the moment, I believe, but it just helps to keep your binder closed. So inside the binder you have these pockets down the side, which are super cute. You can also stick things in the side there as well. But I wanted to just show you that you can buy these A5 grid inserts to go into your binder. They're also available in a dot grid and a lined page as well, and they have this cute little heart down the bottom of the lined pages. It's super cute, you can see that there. So I like to use the grid inserts for my backgrounds for spreads inside my binder. You may have seen a few of my projects earlier in the year that I've done for my binder so far. So I'll just give it a quick little flick through. Sometimes I work on the back of a previous spread for my next project, but a lot of the time I will actually stick pages back to back as I go. So you can see here that I've had to stick the two pages back to back because I do like to stitch on my pages, and if I stitched through to another project that wouldn't look great. So I do like to work on separate pages and then stick them. As you can see, this one's got stitching on the back of that. So for this spread, I'll be working on some fresh papers and then I will stick those back to back. Okay, so I'll put this one aside and show you what I've got planned. So I've got my two grid papers here. I've got my photos already printed, ready to go. So they're going to go roughly like that. Now from the Elizabeth kit, I've chosen the lemon paper and the solid colour mustard colour here, that lovely yellow. I've also got the Elizabeth layered stickers, and I'm thinking I may use this strip down the bottom here. I've got the Elizabeth epoxy shapes to use. I've also chosen the Sunshiny Days journaling card. Absolutely love this, and I'm thinking of turning this one into a tag. I've got the Relax die cuts, the die cut shape here, a couple of florals. I've got a lemon here as well, and I've also got a couple of the chipboard pieces too. I've got this really cute tote bag and these sunglasses. I've got some twine from my stash which I'll probably use. I've got my journaling printed there as well, and I've got this yellow tab which was from the Jamie kit. So these were the designer tabs from the Jamie kit, so I've just chosen the yellow one to go with the other colours, or the other yellow things that I've chosen for this spread. When it comes to stamps, I will be stamping on this spread. I'm using the Elizabeth stamp set. There's a couple of phrases on here I want to use. One says good vibes only and good times. But I've also grabbed out a couple of the other stamp sets as well. So with these ones, I'll probably just use one stamp from each of these, just because the words that I want to suit this spread are sort of scattered throughout these. So I've got the Lola stamp set there, the Gina stamp set, the Lindsay stamp set, and this older one called the Alexis stamp set. This one is still available in store, and I believe it's actually at a discounted price at the moment. It's a very versatile stamp set to have. You can use these little banner pieces, labels, and there's numbers, and this grid stamp is really cool as well. Alright, so I think I'm ready to make a start, so I might pop you on fast forward and show you what I've got planned. Alright, so to start off with, I'm grabbing the Sunshiny Days journaling card, and I'm just trimming it down a little bit on the sides and a little bit off the top as well. And I'm going to cut this into a tag shape. So I've got this punch here that does a really lovely tag corner cut. So I've just done the top two corners there, and now I'm just going to punch a hole with my power punch and then I'm going to add some twine from my stash. You can see that yellow and white twine there on my desk. So I'm just going to tie that to the top there. Okay, so I'm just wanting to tuck that in behind those two smaller photos on this first page. So I'm quite happy with the positioning of that. I'm going to go ahead and add some double-sided tape and put that into position. Now, when I did this, I realized I hadn't added any stitching to that tag yet. So you see me pull it off here, remove that twine, and I'm going to add stitching. I did remove that double-sided tape as well before I started stitching with my machine. So now that that stitching is done, I'll have to add more double-sided tape to the back of that, and then I can stick it down into place. Okay, so just getting that back into position. I'm just leaving the twine loose for now, and I'm going to get those two photos down onto the page. So just offsetting it just a little bit, and they're going to overlap a little as well. All right, just trying to make sure I can still see that sunshiny word properly. Didn't want to cover it up by accident. So now I'm reaching for that chipboard tote bag. I'm just going to create a little embellishment cluster down the bottom left corner here. So now I'm reaching for that layered sticker. So I'm just tucking that underneath the bottom edge of that chipboard tote. I've got a little lemon die cut and a floral die cut that I'm going to add to this little cluster. I'm just going to add a foam dot under one end of this lemon die cut because it's flat and sitting on the edge of that chipboard piece. And then I've got the little chipboard sunglasses to go on there as well. I wasn't quite happy with that positioning, so I'm just moving the lemon up just a little bit and then adding those glasses on. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to move on to the second page. Now I'm just backing that photo with some of the solid color yellow paper from the kit. I just cut a little bit larger than the photo. Alright, so I've got my journaling printed and I wanted to back it with the lemon paper. So I'm just sticking that onto the paper that I already have cut. It was a little bit bigger than what my journaling piece was, so I'm just using my scissors to trim that down very shortly. Just making sure it's all lined up properly. So trimming the excess off that side. I do have to do most of the sides. I didn't stick it down very well, but once I've trimmed this off, it's all nice and even. Okay, so I was going to leave this square and just add my tab to the top, but then I decided to add some stitching and stamping as well. So I'm going to do the stamping first. I've got the Remember This phrase from the Lola stamp set, and just reaching for my ink. So I've got the Stays On ink there. Now this is a brand new ink pad, so I was having a lot of trouble doing this stamping today. It's like there's just way too much ink on the stamp pad. So some of the stamps turn out really well, but others were a little bit too fine for so much ink, which you'll see as I go along. But that one's turned out pretty well. Now I'm going to stamp the word details from the Alexa stamp set on the top of this tab. Now this is where I do run into trouble. So it looks okay on the paper. I do have a couple of goes there. I ended up cleaning the stamp a little bit and having another go. And when I went onto the tab, it just smudged a little bit, and so I wasn't happy with that. I just grabbed another piece of paper and I'm just going to stamp it onto the piece of paper, cut it out, and then you can see I've got that solid other half of the tab in that top right corner of the screen there. What I'm going to do is actually stick it over the top of that and use that as my tab. Alright, so I'm just trimming that a little bit, make sure it's got a nice edge on the top, and I'm going to stick that stamped piece on the top of that. And now I'm going to add that stitching. I did end up using my punch to turn that into a tag as well, so you can see that there. Some stitching on the tab as well. Now I'm just going to use my tiny attacher and staple that to the very top of the tag. So that tab will just give a little pull out feature that you can grab onto to pull the journaling out from underneath the photo. So I'm going to add the photo to the page now. I made sure my double-sided tape was right along the edge, the outside edge of the photo, so that I was able to slip this tag in behind. So you can see there, I can now slip that in. It fits really nicely. Alright, so at the bottom of the photo I've decided to add the relaxed die cut piece and a floral die cut as well. Now once I'd stuck it down, I realised that I wanted to add some stamping under this too. So I've got the Good Vibes Only stamp from the Elizabeth stamp set. Just adding that to my block. Okay, and I realised if I tried to stamp onto the page, my relax die cut may have got ink on it, so I'm just going to carefully remove that and the floral piece. It was a little bit bulky as well, so I've just wanted to get that out of the way. So I'm stamping that. I do apologise, it's a little bit off screen, but I've just stamped it underneath the photo, and now I'm just going to go ahead and stick down those two die cuts again. Okay, so that is now done. I'm now going to add a little bit more stamping, this time to the first page, and I've got a stamp that says good times, and that is from the Elizabeth stamp set. So again, I was having trouble with the amount of ink that was going onto this stamp, so you can see there I'm trying to stamp it off, get rid of the excess ink on that. So in the end I was happy to go ahead and add it to the page, so that one is done. And now I've got another stamp. This one is from the Gina stamp set. You can see that there, and it says just what I needed. So this one's quite a fine, very small lettered stamp. So I found the Stays on ink with it having so much ink on it, it was just too much. So this is where you see I'll put my Stays on ink aside and I'll grab my other ink pad. So it just wasn't getting a nice image. So now I've got my archival ink, and this one turned out perfectly. So I'm happy to go ahead and add that to the page now. So that's on there. Alright, next I've got a tiny tag from the Megan kit, and I'm just going to add the date using my Felicity Jane roller date stamp. So stamping onto that, and then I'll add a little bit of twine to the top of that. And I'm going to attach that to the page using a black mini wide paper clip on the side of that first photo. So I can just tuck that twine underneath and it can just hang down the side of the page. Alright, so that is on there now. And now I've decided to add a little bit of stitching to that first photo and to the relax die cut. And now I'm just going to attach that end of the twine to the page with some staples so it stays in place, and this is done. I did end up adding a couple of the epoxy shapes after I finished filming, so you'll see that in the close-up photos at the end. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing how this spread has come together. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'll leave a link below to Felicity Jane as always, and I'll see you again soon with another project. Thanks so much for joining me today. Bye for now.